He was a cold-blooded killer who claimed to have murdered over 100 people. Richard Kuklinski, known as the Iceman, was a notorious contract killer for the mob between the 1960s and 1980s. Operating mainly in New Jersey and New York, he used various methods, including poison and firearms. His chilling nickname comes from his practice of freezing his victims' bodies to obscure the time of death. Kuklinski was arrested in 1986 and sentenced to life in prison without parole. He died in 2006, but his terrifying stories still captivate true crime enthusiasts. His life highlights the dark side of organized crime in America. Richard Leonard Kuklinski was born in Jersey City, New Jersey in 1938. His early years were spent in a city that was struggling with economic hardships and social challenges. His childhood was far from ordinary, marked by poverty, neglect, and brutal violence. The Kuklinski family lived in a poor neighborhood where survival was a daily struggle. His father, Stanley Kuklinski, was an alcoholic who frequently beat his wife and children. The violence in the household was relentless and unforgiving. Richard's mother, Anna, was also physically abusive, often lashing out at her children with whatever objects were within reach. Her anger and frustration were taken out on young Richard and his siblings. This atmosphere of constant fear and violence had a profound impact on young Richard, shaping his perception of the world and laying the foundation for his future brutality. The scars of his childhood would never truly heal. Growing up in the rough neighborhoods of Jersey City, Richard quickly learned to use violence as a means of survival. The streets were unforgiving, and he adapted to their harsh realities. He engaged in petty theft and fights, developing a reputation for being unpredictable and dangerous. His actions were a cry for help that went unheard. By his teenage years, Richard had already served time in juvenile detention centers, marking the beginning of his long and violent criminal career. These early encounters with the law only hardened him further. His troubled upbringing and early experiences with violence had hardened him, extinguishing any empathy he might have possessed. Richard Kuklinski was on a path that would lead him to become one of the most notorious criminals of his time. As Richard Kuklinski entered adulthood, his violent tendencies escalated. He was no longer just a troubled youth, he was becoming a man with a dark purpose. He began committing robberies and assaults, often targeting those who were weaker or unsuspecting. His actions were not just about the thrill, they were a means to an end. Graduating to more serious crimes as his confidence and ruthlessness grew, Kuklinski's criminal activities became more calculated and dangerous. It was during this period that he crossed paths with Roy DeMeo, a leading figure in the Gambino crime family, one of the 5 families of the New York City Mafia. This meeting would change the course of his life forever. DeMeo, recognizing Kuklinski's potential for violence, took him under his wing, providing him with an introduction to the lucrative world of organized crime. This mentorship was pivotal in Kuklinski's transformation. Kuklinski's first killing for the mob, as he later claimed, was the murder of a random man on the streets of Manhattan. This act was a test of his loyalty and capability. DeMeo, wanting to test Kuklinski's loyalty and ruthlessness, ordered him to kill the unsuspecting stranger. This was a crucial moment in Kuklinski's initiation into the criminal underworld. Kuklinski, without hesitation or remorse, carried out the hit, marking the beginning of his career as a cold-blooded contract killer. This act solidified his reputation. This first murder desensitized him to the taking of human life, transforming him into a remorseless killing machine. From that point on, he would become one of the most feared hitmen in the criminal underworld. Over the next 3 decades, Richard Kuklinski established himself as one of the most feared and prolific hitmen in the American underworld. His reputation was built on a foundation of ruthless efficiency and an unyielding commitment to his deadly craft. He was known for his cold-blooded efficiency, his willingness to use any means necessary to eliminate his targets. Whether it was a gun, a knife, or even explosives, Kuklinski was always prepared to carry out his assignments with precision. Kuklinski was a master of deception, often befriending his victims before luring them to their deaths. His ability to blend in and gain the trust of those around him made him an especially dangerous predator. He experimented with various methods of murder, including guns, knives, explosives, and even more unconventional means. His creativity in the art of killing knew no bounds. One of his most infamous methods involved cyanide-laced ice cream, a deadly treat that left no trace of its lethal contents. It was his use of freezing as a means of obscuring the time of death that earned him the chilling nickname, the Iceman. By freezing the bodies of his victims, he could confound investigators and delay their efforts to solve the crimes. Kuklinski would store the bodies of his victims in industrial freezers, sometimes for months, before disposing of them. This method not only preserved the bodies, but also made it nearly impossible to determine the exact time of death. This gruesome practice made it difficult for law enforcement to determine the exact time of death, hindering their investigations. The frozen bodies were a macabre puzzle that left detectives baffled and frustrated. His methods were not only effective, but also demonstrated a chilling disregard for human life, solidifying his reputation as a ruthless and calculating killer. Kuklinski's legacy is a haunting reminder of the depths of human depravity in the dark corners of the criminal underworld. Section 5. The Family Man. While Richard Kuklinski lived a double life as a ruthless contract killer, he also maintained a seemingly normal family life. In 1964, he married Barbara Pedrici, with whom he had 2 daughters and a son. Kuklinski went to great lengths to conceal his criminal activities from his family, portraying himself as a loving husband and father. He worked as a businessman, providing a comfortable suburban life for his wife and children. However, Kuklinski's violent temper and unpredictable nature occasionally surfaced at home. There were instances of domestic abuse, with Barbara later recounting episodes of physical and emotional abuse. Despite this, Kuklinski was fiercely protective of his family, often justifying his crimes as a means to provide for them. This dichotomy between his violent profession and his seemingly normal family life further adds to the complexity and intrigue surrounding the Iceman. Section 6. A Life of Lies unravels. For years, Richard Kuklinski operated with impunity, evading capture and continuing his reign of terror. However, his luck began to run out in the early 1980s. Law enforcement agencies, aware of Kuklinski's reputation but lacking concrete evidence, began to close in on him. A task force consisting of detectives from the New Jersey State Police and the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives, or ATF, was formed to investigate Kuklinski's activities. The investigation gained momentum when an undercover ATF agent, Pat Kane, posing as an arms dealer, infiltrated Kuklinski's inner circle. Kane, over several months, gained Kuklinski's trust and secretly recorded conversations in which Kuklinski boasted about his murders and described his methods in chilling detail. These recordings, along with other evidence gathered by the task force, provided irrefutable proof of Kuklinski's crimes. Section 7. Behind Bars. On December 17, 1986, Richard Kuklinski was arrested outside his New Jersey home. He was charged with 5 counts of murder, along with numerous other felonies, including robbery, arson, and illegal possession of firearms. During his trial, the prosecution presented a mountain of evidence against Kuklinski, including testimony from former associates, forensic evidence, and the damning recordings made by undercover agent Pat Kane. Kuklinski, despite maintaining his innocence, was found guilty on all charges and sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. He was sent to New Jersey State Prison in Trenton, where he would spend the rest of his days. The conviction of Richard Kuklinski marked the end of his reign of terror and brought a sense of justice to the families of his victims. Section 8. The Iceman Confesses. While incarcerated, Richard Kuklinski granted a series of interviews to authors and filmmakers, most notably to HBO for the documentary The Iceman Tapes Conversations with a Killer. In these interviews, Kuklinski confessed to numerous murders, providing chilling details about his crimes and offering glimpses into his psyche. He claimed to have killed over 100 people, although many of these claims remain unverified. Some experts believe that Kuklinski exaggerated his body count to enhance his notoriety. Regardless of the exact number of his victims, Kuklinski's interviews provided valuable insights into the mind of a contract killer, shedding light on the dark underbelly of organized crime and the motivations of those who operate within it. These interviews continue to fascinate and horrify audiences, cementing Kuklinski's legacy as one of the most notorious serial killers in American history. Section 9. A Legacy of Terror. Richard Kuklinski died in prison in 2006 at the age of 68. His death, while marking the end of his physical life, did not erase the terror and pain he inflicted on his victims and their families. Kuklinski's crimes left an indelible mark on the American consciousness, serving as a stark reminder of the capacity for evil that exists within seemingly ordinary individuals. His story continues to captivate true crime enthusiasts and serve as a source of inspiration for books, documentaries, and films. Kuklinski's legacy is a complex and disturbing one, a chilling testament to the darkness that can lurk beneath the surface of human nature. The Iceman's crimes serve as a cautionary tale, a reminder of the importance of vigilance and the ever-present potential for evil in our midst.